Hello, and welcome to this episode of Beyond NSU. I'm your host, Brandon Green. My guest today can be heard on WNSB Hot 91 during the mornings. He is also a graduate student of the Norfolk State University and will be graduating in this spring. I have with me today Braxton Harris. So, Braxton, what
Yes.
advice would you have for people who want to get into radio like you are?
I think the first thing would be to just start somewhere. So like you can do voice memos. Voice memos are the easiest thing because they're on every phone, whether you have an iPhone or an Android. Regardless, they're on there. Ideas. I think that's another thing too. Always create something. Creating ideas is one of the best ways to allow your creativity to run, and it allows you to like work on your writing skills, and that's a very big thing too. Working on your writing skills.
Okay, how would you recommend those to work on their writing skills to
Mhm.
perfect their craft and to get into that kind of stuff?
Write different things. So it can be a list of things like writing poems or short stories, writing scripts, coming up with questions. Um, Learning when you're learning something or you're writing notes on something you're learning in class, like that can be a part of your writing style. Like learning how you choose to present information.
Okay. How did you feel that you was started? I mean, what gave off the idea that this is the career choice you wanted to pursue?
Ooh. Well, it started when I was in high school. Actually, I always heard people on the radio. Like I would take the bus to school before I started driving, and I would always hear like the Steve Harvey Morning Show. It's like, what are they doing? Like, are they in? Like, I always pictured in my mind because one thing that they'll tell you about radio is a theater of the mind. So a lot of times you'll hear different hosts like explain things differently than someone would on TV. You can see it on TV. You can't really see it on radio because you're in your car. You have other things to think about. So I've always thought about like how are they in a room? Like I feel like they're in one small cramped room, four mics, or like I don't know, they're just pressing random buttons or something.
Yeah.
And then in high school, I actually had the chance to go into the radio broadcasting and journalism program
Okay.
for my junior and senior year. So that was pretty fun. So I actually got to learn how it is people were on radio, and that just kind of like opened a can of worms for me. I wanted to do everything. I wanted to learn how to put music on to the air, or what kind of music should a station play, or like learning just the different genres. So like on Hot 91, we're R&B, we're hip hop, rap, we're also a little bit of oldies. So it's different depending on what you want to essentially not sell but broadcast to your community.
Okay. So it sounds like from your career choice, you want to be on radio. You want to be on personality on radio yourself.
Yes, I did. That was my main goal. Like, if I'm not on radio, I'm not doing it right.
Yeah.
So I was like, I want to be on radio. I want to be behind, like, I have to be on the mic. And then I realized in college, sophomore year, that's not always like the most important person. And that's what I wanted to be. I want to be the important person making the decision. And most important person making the decisions is the one who's telling everyone else what to do. Not because they know everything, but because like there's an approach that they took. Like, oh, this is what I've learned, and this is what's been going on with this group of people. Like, I don't like math,
Yeah.
but yet I'm analytical when it comes to like radio, as far as like what your typical listener looks like. Like that's one thing you get to learn while learning about radio. It's like, what does your listener look like? Like she could be, your listener could be a black female who has two kids, live in this kind of area, has this kind of income, and they usually are in the car from 6 to 10 or 12 to 2. Like I find that very interesting because it allows me to like create different things in my mind about what someone would like to listen to.
Okay.
Then
So
I kind of like took that into everything else with learning radio.
so it sounds like you branched out into different fields more than just trying to be radio, directing, whatnot, writing, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Like behind the camera, it seems like you worked in behind the camera. How you like that? Like behind the camera, working behind the camera. Stuff.
It's been good. I've enjoyed all portions of like it gets very tiring at some points, but then that's kind of the best part because then you kind of have to like dig deep and it's like it's not too many people doing this, and my job is not one like others. Like, of course, I'm behind the board or I'm behind the camera. I'm directing. Like, people don't get to see my face, but I know what I'm creating is something that comes from up here. Like, to be able to put what you have up here onto paper or visually, it's like a very big accomplishment, and it feels like very stress relieving. Like,
Yeah.
I was able to create what I thought, and that's a very big accomplishment of mine.
So it sounds like you would consider a career behind the camera as well.
Yeah, of course. In front of, behind, and that's my thing too. I want to own things. Like I'm going to own my own radio station. I'm going to be general manager, and my thing is, with me, a good general manager or someone who is good for a managerial position knows both aspects, behind the camera and in front of. So if something is wrong, they have a little bit of knowledge. Not everything, but they can start somewhere to help find a solution to a problem.
Wow, that's all great. That's all the time we have today. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you, Braxton, for joining me today on this episode of Beyond NSU. We wish you the best. Until next time, behold the green and gold.